Hey guys, this is Camry15. I'm back at it with another video for you guys, and we are back with some more Superman and Lois. And what I thought was the episode wasn't as good as the last few episodes, but it's as a story going to it. This episode was kind of more focused on the family aspect of things. Really, they focus morely on Sarah and the boys, really more than your typical thing. I feel like there's gonna be a turn off episode to some people, um, but I thought it was an okay, deep, fine episode and stuff like that. So let's get into this week's episode of Superman and Lois. Now, we start the episode off with a Superman scene where, after, looking like he's going to be painting some walls and decorating the house, um, he gets called, he hears something in China, and he essentially saves these people from a bridge, which I thought was a pretty nice looking scene and stuff like that. The only Superman scenes we get in the first part of the episode, and then near the tail end of the episode, there's kind of, like I said, more focused on the kids slash Lois as well, in the regards to Morgan Edge and what's going on in that storyline and stuff like that. Now, what we do see, which is another side plot, which I'm not trying to say I don't care about, but okay, it was an interesting thing. It was about Lana Lane and her family, Sarah, and everything. Well, I guess Lana Cushing, I guess you can say, but Lana and Sarah with their whole issues, their family looks to be in disarray. You have a fight between her husband, her husband and herself, and we find out like the oldest daughter is like essentially a bully who kind of disrespects them. Sarah's going through the issues she's going through, and also um, Lana feels like she's not commanding much, respect from her and stuff like that, and she feels like they're not talking like they used to when she was younger. So, but then, the dad seems to be very distant. I forgot his name or whatever, and stuff like that. I will say he comes across like an a-hole though, and things like that. Now that's kind of the whole thing, and I'm kind of just break it in. That's the whole thing, the Lana Sarah relationship, and that's the whole thing. We see later that Sarah quits the um quits quits the cheerleading team because we find out essentially she's kind of stressed out. Sarah also breaks up with her boyfriend, the one guy, I think his name is Sean or whatever, ends up breaking up with him. And then we have, I will admit, a pretty nice scene where you have a mother and daughter, Sarah and Lana, talk about, how essentially, just putting on a smile isn't probably the best thing to do because that might not be what you're feeling on inside. And it's a good life lesson. I will say that, you can come across somebody like it's like any day, you can come across somebody any day. Yeah, they put on a smiley, happy face, looking like they're all fine as can be in their life and stuff like that. And they look like, nothing definitely going wrong in their life, but in reality, they're kind of putting on a facade, an act to kind of hide the fact that they might be going through some turmoil, some problems in their personal life, and you never know. I did like the scene that they opened up. I did like that, this time, because we see also earlier that Lana actually in the diner, kind of her and Sarah kind of created a scene where, they get into a huge argument after Sarah kind of quits the cheerleading team. Again, one of the more major reasons why I feel like people are going to be like, I don't really care. And I feel like this was a step down. Again, like I said, it wasn't really much of a bother. I just don't want them to do too much of the drama aspect. I know it's CW and everything, but obviously people are going to be turned off. It doesn't bother me to the extent where most people are get bothering, but when it eventually when it gets repetitive, it does get repetitive. So hopefully, between Lana and Sarah, there's growth and there's not like, I would say recession where we typically see with with the Kent boys and their dad and stuff like that. Which and now I'm starting to get annoyed about the facts of the ways they're getting pissed off at Clark. But okay, I'll get into that in a few minutes. But you have a nice scene where essentially, you have Lana asking Sarah, like, do you know what you want, and stuff like that. And we do find out that Sarah, she kind of feels pressurized being in the small town of Smallville, feeling like she has nothing to do and stuff like that and be free. Essentially, Lana just tells her, listen, take as much time as you need to find the person you want to be, which again is another life lesson. We all need to find ourselves on, who we want to be as people and stuff like that. So yeah, let's talk about the boys. The boys and Clark, because that's kind of their relationship. So the first major thing is the fact that obviously we know that Jordan's now going back to school and he's got to keep it kind of down and stuff like that. Now, one of the first kind of arguments the parents get involved, well, the fact that the kids get involved with the parents is the fact, oh, gets involved. Clark, my bad. Sorry, I'm tired. I'm recording this at like 10:40, and I just got done watching the episode. Anyways, Clark's listening in, and it looks like those same bullies are trying to pick another fight with frickin' Jordan, and it's like, dog. One, I just gotta say this. One, first things first, to the bullies, let it fucking go. He made a mistake. He accidentally kissed your girlfriend. He didn't even know your girl. That girl, was dating you. So one, I hardly find it unbelievably, crazy. Because I was in high school recently. I find it unbelievably unrealistic that somebody would be that fucking pissed off that this random kid kissed your girlfriend. Like, okay, I would say in a real life sense, if that ever happened, yeah, you obviously the person would stand up for their girlfriend and be like, don't be making out with my girlfriend and stuff like that because that's my girlfriend. But usually they would be not even referencing them or talking to them. They'd probably even tell their girlfriend, don't be around him and stuff like that. So the fact that they're still picking fights, okay, wonderful. That's unrealistic, but okay. We need some tension in the school. It looks like he's about to use his powers, and all of a sudden Clark's listening in on this because they actually mentioned earlier in the episode how he's able to listen and have distinct sounds. And it's funny. They do have a funny scene when they're talking about his super hearing and everything, and John makes a reference. He's like, has there been any times have you heard something that you kind of wish you didn't hear? And Clark's like, yes, many of times. And John's like, has this something to do with nudity? And he's like, I'll tell you guys when I get older, which I freaking was laughing. I'm like, yeah, that is kind of true. He probably could hear somebody, doing some things dirty and stuff like that. But anyways, he shows up and he kind of breaks up the whole thing. Again, I don't know where the school officials are, but okay. They eventually back up because they see him. It gets the sons, John and Jordan, pissed off. I have no clue why they would get pissed off, but okay. Their dad's just looking out for them, and essentially, they feel like, oh, because you're freaking hearing and spying on us at the same time, it's a problem. When wasn't it in the last episode? Clark was going to make sure he looks out for you because he doesn't want you going haywire and unleashing your powers, which it looked like you were going to unleash your powers. And two, for Jordan's case, John, his brother, was trying to calm him down. He's like, hey, let's go. Come on, let's go. But he wasn't listening. He looked like he wanted to go fight and stuff like that. So again, I will say that's a critique. I don't know. Again, and we see even later on, Jordan makes a comment saying like, it was a mistake and everything about everything in the past. Again, another issue I'm kind of having with the show is how passive aggressive Jordan gets. Like, God, if this is gonna be like if this is gonna be the thing this entire season, where you just have a conflict drama between Clark and the kids, mostly Jordan, where Jordan just lashes out at Clark for no reason when Clark's trying his best to be a good dad, especially in the case of the football thing, which we see later on in the episode. It's like, okay, he's just worried about you. I understand. But, Lois and Clark have a talk where, Lois is like, well, you do remember the first time when you freaking listened on me and I found out. I was pissed. And, it made it sound like, they almost literally didn't end up together because of it and stuff like that, which, okay, I'm guessing I understand. It is, Clark is kind of intruding in their personal life. So I will say, okay, they have credit themselves, but I will say in Clark's defense, he was doing the right thing before that kid got hurt. Anyways, what happens? Again, what we see is Jordan overhears, Sarah breaking up with the her ex boyfriend. The quarterback of the team kind of bumps into him and is like yada yada yada. And eventually, that's when we see that Jordan is trying out for the football team, and lo and behold, he's killing it. He's essentially laying the wood. He's like pushing people around like it's nothing and everything. Which, again, another point that might turn people off is it creates another forced, narrative of another forced rivalry between the brothers. Because now, guess what? You know, because now you have this butting heads thing between Jordan and John, where the fact like, oh, guess what? You're, John saying like football's not your thing, it's my thing and stuff like that. And Jordan's like, why are you entitled to it? They get into a whole argument and stuff like that. Jordan makes a reference to the diner scene after Sarah leaves with her mom to Clark that, oh, John had a great practice, but they didn't tell, they didn't tell Clark about, the football thing. Eventually, what happens is Clark runs into Lana. They have a talk, and Lana makes mentions like, "Oh yeah, your son has friggin' been killing it in football practice." And Clark's like, "Wait, what?" Eventually, he finds out that Jordan is doing practice. One thing I forgot to mention in the scene. So after Jordan gets commended by the coach for his hard work, the coach literally makes freaking John run like I think laps around the field because he didn't introduce him. He didn't make his brother play, and he's like, "How could you be hiding this from me?" I'm like, "Really? You're gonna make him run because he hid his brother from you?" See, this is why I say coaches that only care about winning ain't shit. They actually don't care about freaking making teaching these kids life lessons, which is the thing. Obviously, football even at the high school level is competitive, but it's also about teaching kids life lessons. I saw that and I'm like, this coach is not a good coach, bro. You're literally making a player. I'm like, you're literally making a player freaking run less because his brother's good. Okay, that's stupid. Anyways, what happens is they do Oklahoma drills. If you don't know what Oklahoma drills is, Oklahoma drill is essentially a one-on-one, essentially tackling type of drill, or who can make somebody you know get essentially tackled, or who bullies or who runs who over. Jordan goes up against Sean because Sean calls him out. Essentially, Jordan obviously beats him easily, sends him flying to the ground from not like super far, but boom. He eventually shakes hands, and it seems like we got a recollection because Jordan makes up with Sean, the kid, who is Sarah's ex boyfriend, and essentially is like, "I apologize for kissing your girlfriend," and it seems like they might be cool. So yeah. Um, and then that's when you see Clark just kind of standing there with his arms crossed, looking at it. Essentially, he kind of, he. This is when it leads into another where Jordan's like, "It's a mistake that we came here. It's a mistake that essentially he's telling Clark like it's a mistake about everything that's led up to this point, and he essentially says, "I wish, I mean, like he essentially says he wishes, that Clark never cared about him and stuff like that, which you don't want to say that as a fucking parent. Obviously, Clark did the one good thing about, being a parent is he sends up to his room, and stuff like that. You would think Clark would probably lash back out, but he handled it in a peaceful way. He's like, go to your room. Obviously, you can tell that he's pissed because he was like, smushing some metal things. He has a talk with Lois. Essentially, you know, that leads into the boys' discussion about the whole football thing and stuff like that. And then that's when John sees, because he gets a text from somebody talking about football related things to Jordan. Eventually, you have John trying to back his brother and tell Clark, like, hey, he was actually making some friends and stuff like that. And it seems like maybe football might be that thing for him where it can, take him out of this whole other life he has that where he feels so droopy and moopy. Then that's when you have the end of the episode. Clark essentially saying you can play football because he tells him a story about how his dad didn't make him play baseball, which was a pretty nice thing. And essentially, he tells Jordan, look, you can continue playing football as long as you do not overexert yourself on your super strength power and stuff like that. But, as well as also hurt somebody too, because that was another thing. They brought John and Clark brought up, like, bro, what if you hurt somebody like thing? Which I have a feeling that could potentially happen, but we'll see. It seems like he should be good and stuff like that. So yeah. Now in terms of that storyline kind of ends off. One, Clark is kind of joins the team, full team as an assistant coach, obviously to probably look over Jordan and stuff like that. But you see the development between Sarah and Jordan's relationship start to grow. He kind of asked her to come to their football game, which I thought was nice. Every varsity player who has a crush probably wants a girl to go attend their game. Even I have asked a girl, hey, why don't you come to a game and stuff like that and, check me out. I'm man enough to admit that. And it's funny, it seems like Sarah's starting to definitely be into him, which definitely is going to start off that romance. Now the fact that she's single and stuff like that. Now, two, Clark even does make a good point. He tells like, listen, I did this, tried to do the whole baseball thing to impress a girl, which I also thought too. The reason why Jordan did the whole football thing is to impress, Sarah, because he found out that, she broke up with her boyfriend and stuff like that. Which she does make a mention like, yeah, I wasn't sure about it, but now I know I kind of want to do it and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm like, hey, I don't blame you. Obviously, you got superpowers and you just saw, a girl you like break up with her boyfriend. Of course, you probably want to impress her, playing a sport and stuff like that to show you how tough you are. But I'm just asking about that relationship. Now, the main plot line is the whole Lois Lane thing here. And essentially, we see this person named Sharon Powell, who essentially had a son work for Morgan Edge. And essentially, Morgan Edge gave Mrs. Powell or Sharon's son a gig. And essentially, we get a recording where the son essentially finds out that what he was doing was not really well meant out what he thought it was. It seems like Morgan Edge must have did something pretty dirty and stuff like that. Now Lois Lane's little co-buddy in the place thinks like, hey, this could be just some sort of setup. They could be playing us because they find out that, Sharon was actually under the influence of alcohol and everything and stuff like that. Two, we also see this one guy spying on them as well. And two, another thing is, you have Lois's SUV, in flames and everything and stuff like that. And essentially what happens is Lois gets an anonymous tip to go to this place, which is a motel, to talk about more people that had the same incidents happen to them, like Sharon and stuff like that. And she's doing it as lead so she can get more dirt on Morgan Edge. Now the one thing is, when Lois pulled up to this place, I'm like, okay, it's a motel and it doesn't look shady at all. And it definitely doesn't look shady at all, huh? In the moment, and she even opens the door, like I think the door was all bent and everything. I'm like, now I'm watching this. I'm like, now if that was me and I saw a door that I can just open on my own, and two, it would look like the door was bent, that's a clear sign for me to get up out of here. Again, I'm not trying to be racist. I don't have nothing against white people. I have white people that are friends, but I'm to be honest. I'm sorry. When it comes to white people, they just do anything. I play the scary video games and stuff like that. Trust me. As a black person, me, myself, if that was me, I want nothing to do with anything that looks like a shady area. Like literally. Like sometimes when it's late at night, I have to take out the trash. I don't even want to do that because I'm like, what if I get jumped? Which again is funny. I'm like, bruh, really? And then lo and behold, she gets attacked by the guy that was spying on them. Which I'm like, see, this is why you friggin' just get back in the car, you get home and stuff like that. And yeah, heck, you probably should have called Superman earlier. You should have called Clark to come as Superman. Yeah, essentially that's what she eventually does. Superman takes on this guy. This guy's got like, he's taking Superman's punches like easily. And I'm like, what the hell is this guy? This guy is some sort of super powered individual, stuff like that. Eventually, what happens is Clark freezes him. He essentially takes him out and he beats him to a pulp and stuff like that. Lois finds Sharon, who's like literally on the life, who's on the brink of death. Clark manages to take her to the hospital and eventually saves her life and stuff like that. And we see in the end of their episode, we see wondering, why would Morgan? And they ask the question. One, Lois is like, obviously smaller things like kidnappings and stuff like that can happen in these small towns, which is true. It is true. You can have these kidnappings in these small towns and stuff like that in any country and stuff like that. And any state in the United States as well. But Lois says she also plans to report on the smaller incidents in Smallville too, to make sure those get flagged, as well as doing her Morgan Edge story as well. That's when her co-host, brings in, I don't know her name. She brings up the fact, and they tell you and say, like, why would Morgan Edge need like a super powered individual for his protection and stuff like that? Eventually, we see this guy talking on the phone. I forgot what he was talking on the phone. I don't know what he was talking on the phone about, but we see this one girl just get in his way and use heat vision and essentially kills him, and that's when the episode ends off. So I'm only guessing that that there's another Kryptonian on this planet. I don't know who she is, but yeah, I'm like, wow, okay. That's kind of where the episode ends off. I thought it was a solid episode. Definitely not like the first two episodes. Definitely solid. I will say there was more drama focused on the kids in the school when it pertains to Jacob, John, and Sarah. That's why I feel like this episode is going to be a turnoff to people who very much enjoyed the last two episodes of Superman and Lois. Then I feel like the only thing they're really going to care about is the Lois storyline. I feel like they're not going to care about all the drama stuff. I can see the reviews now. This episode freaking sucked. When I thought it wasn't that bad. Was some of the little storylines overblown? Yes, but it wasn't anything to be like, oh god, this is freaking terrible shit. Which I think some people kind of overblow some things. It wasn't bad at all. Like, I'll personally say, like, there were some cases where I didn't enjoy it and it did get annoying after a while. But hey, it seems like next week, the writers are going to make it up to you and be like, okay, you're going to get a full-fledged looks to be Superman episode. And it seems like next episode preview, it seems like the butting heads between General Lane and Superman are going to be now at odds now, which we remember from episode 2. He's starting to get the idea of butting heads with Superman thanks to Captain Luthor now and stuff like that. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. One more thing I got to mention. Now, if you guys did not hear, Superman and Lois is actually going to be going off air till literally the summertime, because what happened is COVID, there was an issue with obviously the virus. I used the C word. You're not supposed to say that on here, but whatever. Obviously, somebody got I think somebody, I didn't look too much into the story, but apparently someone, I guess, came in contact with somebody with COVID and it affected production. And obviously, they're going on break till literally the summertime. And because of it, it halts production, which sucks for the actors, and more importantly, is going to suck for the people who actually like the show, because guess what? They're replacing Superman and Lois with. Ooh, and I know so many people are going to be fucking pissed. They're for the time being until Superman and Lois return, they're changing the time slot of Superman and Lois to Supergirl. And I feel like so many Superman fans are going to be fucking pissed, because I know the Superman fans do not like the fact when he always would show up in the Supergirl episodes. They always didn't like the fact that, to them, they felt like Superman was cucked by Supergirl. And I feel like the Superman fanboys are going to be pissed again, because I know they'll be like, why the hell are you taking on Superman and Lois for Supergirl, when they don't look at the facts and realize, well, guess what? If there was an idiot on their freaking set that wasn't messing around dealing with the whole virus issues, well, guess what? Y'all would have not been kicked off the air for the time being, where you have to make a summer return, and you wouldn't have Supergirl start up. So after episode 5 of Superman and Lois, that's when Supergirl season 6 will well, that's when Supergirl in its final season will air its premiere episode, and essentially will run, I'm guessing, until the summertime, till Superman, and then Superman and Lois will come back. And again, that's why I feel like the Superman fans and the reviews this week are going to definitely, and the Superman fanboys, like for example, Angry Joe. I like watching his reviews, but I feel like one of the first things he's going to say is, "Bro, why did this show have to go on break for Supergirl? Really?" Instead of looking into the facts, which a lot of YouTubers who cover the CW DC TV shows do not look at. Again, they say, "Oh, Supergirl was canceled," when no, it isn't canceled, because of the Supergirl writers decided to end off the story because Melissa Benoist is essentially wants to do other ventures and kind of, do its own thing. It's the same way that you did, with it's the same thing that they did with Black Lightning, even though Black Lightning season 4 isn't right now the best. It's honestly probably be one of the worst CW DC TV shows this season, as well as this. It gave me Arrow vibes. Like they're obviously gonna write off Kara's character, and that's kind of it. But again, I feel like a lot of people are gonna be pissed that Supergirl's gonna be coming on the air in replacement for Superman and Lois, being like, which I don't care. I liked Supergirl. I think Supergirl's a pretty, fun show. There have been some seasons where it's like my interest wasn't there. But I'm really looking forward to Supergirl season 6. And again, like I said, we're gonna get Superman and Lois coming back in the summer. So you have, I think, Superman and Lois alongside Stargirl too, which is a really underrated show too. I thought it was really good. So yeah, but that's another thing. So, Superman and Lois, in terms of reviews, will be put on hold, and Supergirl will come back. Again, I feel like people are going to be definitely pissed off the fact that, oh, it's Supergirl freaking taking over Superman again. It's never fair. They always have to cater to Supergirl. Which again, I feel like people blow up proportion with Supergirl as well. I think Supergirl is a pretty cool, fun show, and stuff like that. And I just feel like there's too many Superman fanboys to at least be like, well, Supergirl's pretty cool at least too. So yeah, and it's funny because it's like, well, it's the same exact dang thing. I guess the only thing about Supergirl is you can say Supergirl's more political than all the CW DC TV shows. I will say that. The second most political DC CW TV show is probably Batwoman. I will give her credit. Sometimes Supergirl can get a little bit too over political, to my tasting, but hey, it is what it is. But I'm gonna be enjoying Supergirl, so Supergirl reviews will be starting in the coming weeks. So yeah, again, like I said, it's gonna be a bummer that Superman and Lois are gonna be gone for a while, but hey, it's gonna be back, and when we get back, the same thing will be going on there. But yeah, other than that, guys, that's kind of all for this episode. So if you guys like the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts on this week's episode of Superman and Lois, as well as your thoughts on the Supergirl, coming in as, I'm guessing you can say, it's time slot replacement, and stuff like that. Are you upset? Are you just okay? That's fine. Obviously, they didn't adhere to guidelines. Yada yada yada. It's still kind of weird that they have to take a whole, few months breaks till the summertime. I'm guessing, if it halts production, I'm guessing when, you're doing these episodes on a weekly, making these episodes is like, I'm guessing, you can't have these issues pop up. That's my only guess. So yeah. So hopefully, next time whoever came down with it knows better, to do this. And that's all to all the other DC TV shows, they can't, obviously do, they can't obviously, produce on the show if somebody out, especially, maybe an actor out with the virus, you're just gonna have to stop production, and you have to wait till they eventually come back. And that's why we got to take this virus seriously. We're taking for granted, the fact that these shows came back in a pandemic and they're giving us this new content and stuff like that. Because the CW have been like, no, it's gonna be a while till these shows come back. So yeah. Other than that, that's kind of it. So I'm gonna get out of here. Hope Hope you guys have a great rest of your day or night when you're checking out this video. Until then, guys, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.